Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. It's Carolyn. So today I have a super exciting video. We're going to be using the Encanto movie to understand tarot cards, specifically focusing on the major arcana and understanding it on a deeper level than we have before. I've done this before with the court cards, so I'm going to link that up in the cards above for you to watch next. But I love using films and books to understand tarot cards better. I feel like it gives us all a more in-depth perspective to it, and so I feel like by relating the cards to films and TV shows and books, we're able to understand the cards better and remember the meanings for when we're doing tarot readings. If we're drawing a blank, we can think back on these characters or these scenes and be like, oh, okay, this is what it means. Let me look into this and see how it relates with the rest of the cards. So I feel like it gives us a little bit of a cheat sheet when we are doing tarot readings if we're drawing a blank with one of the cards or not understanding how it relates to things. I want to say that if you have not yet watched Encanto, there will be spoilers in this video, so make sure that either you're okay with being spoiled or you have watched it. And I want to say, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family. And if you're new to the channel, I post multiple videos every single week, so turn on that bell notification so you don't miss out. I post more education videos like this. I also post readings, so that's collective readings, zodiac readings, and pick a pile readings. And I also do unboxings of different tarot and oracle decks, and I'm going to have everything linked in the cards above for you to watch next. So I'm going to start off with the characters. So the first character, Mirabelle, she is definitely the Fool. And I say this because the Fool is this energy where it is about taking a risk on yourself, taking a chance on yourself, and moving towards the future in a way where you don't know what the outcome is going to lead to. You don't know what is yet in your future, but you're believing in yourself and believing that you're on the right path for yourself. And Mirabelle in this film, she's trying to save Casita. And so she is trying to stop the cracks from taking over and ruining everything, ruining the magic. And no one else is helping her. No one else is guiding her. She's really doing it because she feels like it's right, and she's kind of looking at it and being like, if no one else is going to take the chance, I'm going to take the chance. And there's almost this reckless determination that is associated with the Fool's card, because other people on the outside, if you look at the tarot card, there's the dog trying to hold the person back, trying to hold the Fool back, and it's like, wait, don't do it, you don't know if it's safe. But the Fool is like, well, even if it's not safe, I have to roll with the punches because that's the only way forward. And that really embodies Mirabelle's energy, because she is going and trying to put everything on her shoulders, take on the burden of saving everyone, no matter what people are looking at her and saying about her or thinking about her. She's not doing this for others. She's going on this journey for herself. And so she really embodies this Fool's energy of just taking a chance, doing what you feel is right, even if others aren't entirely supporting you. And then for Mirabelle's parents, I think they really represent the energy of the Empress and the Emperor. Because not only is the Empress and the Emperor like the mom and dad figure of the tarot cards, especially in regards to the Fool, but they also embody this energy in themselves. The Empress is an energy of renewal and birth and creation, and her mother has the ability to help heal people with her food, so she's able to connect and allow things to continue and allow things to grow and prosper as a result of her gifts. So she really is like that Empress ability to create. And then the Emperor has this energy of being logical, of being determined and level-headed, bringing this level of stability. And her dad, even though he doesn't have his own set of gifts, he is working with the family to try and help them build things and trying to do his part in his role in the family, regardless of not having gifts. And he does need to rely on Julieta because she needs to heal him because he's constantly being injured. So it shows you the way that the Empress and the Emperor have to work together, but it also shows their independent roles. And we also see later on in the film, when it comes to standing up for Mirabelle, her dad does try and stand up for her. He does try and defend her. So he does have that stability and that security to try and have her back and really try and stand his ground. So I feel like the two of them really represent these cards well, because they have their own independent roles, but then they also work really well together. So then the next character is Antonio, and he is the magician. And I say this because the magician's role in the Fool's journey is to help guide the Fool. They're almost like a mentor, and they are also supporting the Fool. But the magician also has the ability to manifest, but the magician only has the ability to manifest because they accept what they have. They work with what they got. They're resourceful. And I really feel like that's Antonio, because not only is he one of the only people in the film who is truly supportive of Mirabelle, but he goes out of his way to show everyone there's nothing to be afraid of with her. When it comes to his door ceremony, he asks her to walk with him, and he has no doubt that the door is going to work because he doesn't see her as a curse. He doesn't see her as a burden. He embraces her for what she is and who she is, and regardless if she didn't get a door, he isn't putting that on her. He's not blaming her for that. He just thinks that's what happened. happened. And so there's this level of connection and support that the magician has with the fool that no one else has. And we also see his support and guidance continue through the movie because he is able to let his animals listen, that he knows where Mirabelle is, and he goes and helps her out without her even needing to ask. He goes and offers his help to her. He helps guide her in that way, and he also gives up his room for her and Bruno to look at the prophecy and understand it a bit better. So he gives her the resources that he has, and so he's working with what he's got. He's a kid, so he's limited, but even though he doesn't have all these resources, he offers the resources that he has. He gives Mirabelle the help in the ways that he can while being a child, and he actually helps more than a lot of adults do in this film. And so he definitely is the magician because he has that support and that connection with the fool to guide them, to support them, maybe not understand everything, but do what he can that they are continuing on their journey. So then Bruno, this is kind of obvious, but he's represented by the High Priestess. And I say this not only because the High Priestess is also a psychic who is able to predict and see the future, but there's a lot of frustrations that come with the High Priestess card, because a lot of times when she comes out in readings, it can be a little bit annoying because she's not giving you a clear answer. And that's because the High Priestess, just like Bruno, sometimes things are not always clear. Sometimes the answers, while we're being given them, don't actually make a lot of sense. And so there can be some mystery with the High Priestess, and there also can be this negativity associated with her in readings where she comes out and maybe she is clarifying that there is truth in something that is being said that you don't yet want to know. Because just like Bruno, when he gives his prophecies, people blame Bruno and they want to shoot the messenger, but he's not the one making it happen. A lot of times he is reflecting what this person's current choice and actions in their life is leading towards, and he's just letting them know that, but people instead of fixing themselves want to blame him. And so there can be this energy with the High Priestess of either not understanding the message or feeling frustrated at the message because it's not what you want to hear. And so when the High Priestess does come up in your readings, maybe take that as a sign to say that this is confirming what the energy is, or that there are things at a greater power that you don't understand yet, but eventually with time, clarity will come. So now we have Abuela, and instead of going with a devil card, which I think a lot of people would think that she is, I actually went with the Hierophant, because the devil to me is more of an energy of the cycles, the entrapment, and maybe neglect or abuse, but to me it is not Abuela herself. I feel like she's the Hierophant because she's someone where she's stuck in her own way. She's stuck in the past. She's stuck in the tradition. I don't think she's inherently bad. I don't think she's conscious of what she's doing. And so I feel like with the Hierophant, it fits her personality a lot more because this is an energy of someone who is a big believer in tradition. This is someone who they are this figurehead. They are what people look up to. A lot of times it's depicted as the Pope in tarot. And so it represents this energy of this higher power, this higher leader that is guiding people, and someone who is kind of preaching what everyone else needs to do. And we see that with her because the family was blessed with magic. And so in a way, she's become this figurehead of not only the town and the community, but also of her family. She is this matriarch. And so she thinks that she has to do things in these very rigid ways so that she doesn't lose the magic, that she doesn't take it for granted. And so the things she's doing isn't coming from a bad place. It's just coming from a place in which she has not allowed herself to grow and change and adapt. And so she's staying stuck in this one time, in this situation, in this tradition, and everyone else is changing and adapting around her. And so that's where I feel like she really fits the energy of the Hierophant a lot more. And so the Hierophant comes up in your readings, it is really representing either tradition or someone who is stuck in their ways, someone where it's going to take a lot for them to change, or someone where they are not willing to change at this moment, and someone who is kind of figurehead in either their career, community, or family, someone where they have a lot of people looking at them for answers and guidance. So then for the Strength card, we obviously have Louisa, and she really represents this energy so well because not only is her gift the physical strength, but her whole story is learning how to have the mental and emotional strength that is vulnerability. And so she really is the embodiment of what the Strength card represents. And so a lot of times when the Strength card comes up, it is representing that either we are being too prideful or we are overcompensating in some way and trying to hold value on the things that make us important, or we are needing to open up more and we are needing to allow ourselves to be more expressive, or it means that there's actual like physical strength coming in and helping you and aiding you. But I feel like the film does a really good job of showing how strength is not only physical but also has that emotional levels to it, and it really shows that with tarot it is not always meaning physical strength. It can mean a lot more emotional things in reading. So if you're having trouble with the strength card, remember that it can mean that you need to be more vulnerable, that you need to open up more and let more people in. So now we have Felix, and I put him as temperance, and I know this might be a little bit weird, but hear me out. So temperance is all about balance. It is the card that represents alchemy, and so it is the card that represents a lot of patience and waiting and allowing things to happen as they need to. And I feel like Felix is the temperance for Pepa. I feel like he is the one who is always giving her this calm, loving, compassionate energy, and is really able to help her when she is feeling overly emotional. He helps balance her out, and so he is like her counterpart. And so I feel like he's temperance because not only is he helping balance his wife who he loves, but in turn he's helping everyone because his wife emotionally controls the weather. And so when she's spiraling out of control, that's creating weather havoc on everyone. And so by him being able to have this balance and compassionate and patient energy for her, in turn he fixes it for everyone because now her emotions are more under control. And so I feel like when temperance appears in your readings, it's representing this energy of needing to slow down, needing to approach things from a level head and really see what is either being overcompensated or not compensated enough, and finding that middle ground in order to create peace and create that balance. And I feel like Felix's personality does this really well because he's always trying to help and he's trying to calm her down, but he also will call her out in a way that's loving, that's supportive, but he does it in a way where he is honoring her emotions and not neglecting Pepa's emotions like everyone else in the film does. Everyone just tells her to get over her emotions or to stop feeling them or to suppress them. He's the only one who doesn't force her to do that, but instead helps her calm down by showing her that he's there for her, that he has her back, and they'll get through it, and that she can get through it, that she's strong enough to get through it, instead of just telling her get over it without any help. He actually is the only one in the family who helps her work through her emotions. So then we have Pepa, and I feel like she is embodying the energy of the moon, because the moon represents emotions, but it also represents the unseen and things that are hidden. And I feel like for Pepa, she really is controlled by her emotions. Her emotions are her gift, and so she controls the weather by her emotions. But she also has this energy of the unknown because she's always told to suppress how she's feeling. She can't ever get things off her chest properly, and that's why when we do see these outbursts of emotions from her, it's because she's never been able to express her emotions. So when she does let it out, she lets it all out in these very destructive, unbeneficial ways because she's just trying to get everything off her chest. She's like blurting it all out. That's why it's very easy for her to get stressed, because she is not able to balance her emotions, because besides her husband, no one else allows her that opportunity to do so. But she also represents this energy of the unknown because she's the one who reveals the secret of what happened to Bruno, and she tells Mirabel, even though she does it reluctantly, she's the one with the answers to the hidden things, to these secrets. And so she's able to tell Mirabel about this. And so when the moon appears in readings, sometimes it can represent that something has not yet come to the light. It can mean that something is hidden. It can mean that something's in the subconscious, or something is emotionally charged. There is emotions behind it leading to someone's reactions. And it could mean that someone's going to react in a way that isn't necessarily beneficial, but in a way that's going to be an emotional reaction. And then for Isabella, she is represented by the star. And I say this because the star is this energy of hope, inspiration. It is what people look to navigate them, to guide them and give them hope, really inspire them. And so the star is kind of what everyone is looking towards, whether it's for, moving forward and knowing where to go, or whether it's because they're so proud of the star and they're wanting everyone to see its beauty. Isabella is the golden child, and so everyone's looking to her to be perfect, to act perfect, to do what everyone wants, and to be what everyone should be. She really embodies this energy of who the family wants all of them to be. She really represents this energy of being the perfect person. And so you can see in the film there is a little bit of animosity between Mirabel and Isabella, because Mirabel thinks that she's so perfect and unattainable with the way that she acts. And so with the star, she really represents this energy of being who people want Mirabel to be. They want Mirabel to act like Isabella. They want them to be the same, pretty much in fit the mode of perfection. And with Isabella, she also takes on the weight of everyone's hopes and desires for her and does things for the family, like we see when she's going to marry Mariano. She is only agreeing to that because it's what the family wants for her. No one's taken time to ask her what she wants. And something else about the star is that it's ruled by Aquarius, and if you see in the tarot card, she's almost acting as a water bearer herself. She's taking water, but she's also dumping it out. And so with this water bearing energy, water represents emotions. And so the star is able to take her emotions and dump them out when she needs to. And we see that with Isabella. She is taking her own emotions out of the equation and doing what the family wants because she feels like that's what she needs to do in order to be perfect, in order to keep the peace in the family. And so as we see later on with the film, she's able to step away from this perfect role and not necessarily be the star, but she definitely embodies the energy in the first half of the movie. And so if the star card is appearing in your readings, it can represent kind of something to look towards or what everyone is projecting and wanting from you. And so when the star card appears in your readings, it can represent an energy of what everyone is wanting for you or what your next step should be, but it can also represent a need to check in with your own emotions and see if you are doing what others want for you or if you're doing what you actually desire and truly want instead of just going through the motions of things. So for Dolores and Camilo, I ended up going with court cards instead of the major arcana cards because I feel like the major arcana cards didn't really suit them well. I feel like it didn't fit them as well as the court cards fit them. And so I feel like Dolores fits the energy of the Page of Swords. And so the Page of Swords represents this energy of sometimes being a little bit quick with your words, not thinking it through because you are the page. And so you haven't put that filter on your mouth yet. But the Swords is more logic based because it is the air sign. So it is really representing the mind and intellect. And I feel like with Dolores, she represents this energy really well because yes, sometimes she doesn't have a filter over her mouth, but she tries to majority of the time because she has all the secrets of everyone. She hears everything. And so that takes a lot of mental strength to one, be able to handle hearing everything, but also it requires her to know what she can share and what she truly cannot share. Like what is the pros and cons of sharing the information that she has and what is it going to lead to. Yes, sometimes her emotions get the best of her like we see in the film, but that is attributed to her age and her youth with that page energy of being someone where maybe you don't know necessarily what you should or shouldn't do when you are being emotionally overwhelmed. But majority of the time we do see that she tries to keep things to herself and that she is able to handle all the information she gets and uses it in a way that's going to be beneficial for the family. And she helps them with the gift instead of trying to create disruptions and hinder the family. And then for Camilo, he has this energy of the Knight of Pentacles. And I say this because the Knight of Pentacles is someone where they are offering things. A lot of times it's more communication that they are offering, that they're sharing ideas, that they're allowing themselves to share messages between them and another. But with him, I think it's less communication, less of messages, but more so he embodies this energy of supporting people, of bringing stability into their lives, because his gift is the ability to shapeshift. And so he is always what everyone needs at the moment that they need it. So yes, it's not verbal messages, but he is like a messenger in himself, where he can camouflage and fit everyone's needs and help them as best as he can. And so he's really able to provide the stability to the community and help things stay on task and help people with their challenges. As we can see, he even helps a mother with her baby. And so he really goes above and beyond what other people do in the family for the community. And we also see that he does have this loving and compassionate side to him, where not only is he bringing stability for the sake of stability, but he does it because he cares. Because when we see him with his mother, he is trying to calm her down. He really embodies this caring energy that his father has. And so he really is trying to bring stability into people's lives for the benefit of people. And so he creates this energy where they can kind of relax and calm down. And so that's where I feel like he really is the Knight of Pentacles, because his stability brings this calming energy. It brings this confirmation. And so he really allows himself to be this beacon of support. And so when the Knight of Pentacles appears in your readings, a lot of times it's showing that things are on track to come into your life to help you, and that there is more stability that you're going to be getting, and any miscommunications are going to be cleared up. And even though I know this isn't necessarily a character as a person, I feel like Casita in itself is a character. And I feel like Casita really represents the energy of the Chariot, because the Chariot is this force, this energy that's moving the fool forward on their journey, on their course of action. It is their guiding force that is really leading them and really helping them with this progress. And so when the Chariot card comes up in your readings, it can represent this energy of forward movement, of progress, of staying on the right track, of leading to results. And so with Casita, Casita is always the one helping Mirabelle not only wake up in the morning and get on track with what she needs, but Casita has this bond with Mirabelle where she is really being helped with what she needs. Even at the end when the magic is dying, Casita makes sure before everything disappears that they get Mirabel to safety and that she is protected. And so I feel like Casita is this driving force throughout the film that's always trying to help, that's always trying to move things forward, that has Mirabel's back. And while Casita can't do everything with Mirabel, like Casita couldn't go into Bruno's room, Casita is there along the way as much as they can and helping Mirabel as much as they can, even if they are being limited in other ways. And so I really feel like that's the energy of the chariot, because yes, the chariot might not get you the whole way, but the chariot is really helping you get even closer, so then your journey is a little bit less. Instead of taking this long route, it shortens it. It means that things are picking up speed. And I feel like if it wasn't for Casita, Mirabel would have faced a lot more challenges and difficulties. And I also feel like it's a really unique bond that they have, because throughout the film, Mirabel is the one who bonds the most with Casita because she doesn't have her own set of gifts. Her gifts is kind of the ability to work with Casita and build that bond, build that connection where they have each other's back. And that's why at the end, she's the one who makes it to the candle, because she relies on Casita. So then for the Lovers card, I went with Isabella and Mariano, their relationship, because from the outside to the Fool, this looks like the picture perfect relationship. It looks like everything's going great for them. It looks like they're so in love. It looks like they have this really deep connection. But then once the Fool gets to know the two people in this relationship, they can see that not everything is as it appears. Now, sometimes in relationships, the Lover cards represent two people who are really compatible, who are really in sync, and in a really loving relationship. But sometimes it represents a relationship in which someone is not as they appear, or the feelings aren't truly there. And so based on what other cards you have, it will either support the relationship or say, hey, maybe there are things going on behind the scenes, maybe there's a third party involved. And we see that as well where Dolores likes Mariano, and so it's not a third party in the sense where they are actively cheating, but it definitely is an option that once Isabella and Mariano are able to split up, Dolores then makes her move on Mariano. And so it shows that the Lovers card represents relationships, but there are a lot of different complexities within the relationship. So then we have the Hermit card. And so to me, I feel like the Hermit card represents the moment in which Bruno and Mirabel are trying to understand the prophecy more. Because yes, the Hermit can represent someone. It can represent a person who maybe is a little bit more introverted, someone who is more so spiritual, and someone where they are really focused on themselves. And I guess in some aspects, Bruno himself acts like a hermit. But a hermit can also represent moments in time in which we have periods of more reflection or introspection. And I feel like that's what happens when Bruno and Mirabel go to look at the prophecy. They go to get a more in-depth look at it, really analyze the prophecy, really understand it. And so they embody the energy of the Hermit card for taking time out of their day to go and work with some knowledge that they have and really understand it, see it from all sides, and really get to know it on a better level than just the surface level of what they already know. And so it's about diving deeper into things and fully understanding it. And so when the Hermit card appears in your reading, take it as a sign that there needs to be more introspection, more reflection, and more time to focus on your thoughts or the person's thoughts. So then we have the Wheel of Fortune. And to me, the Wheel of Fortune represents fate, destiny, kind of divine timing, what's meant to be. And so I think the moment in Encanto that sums this up is the moment that Mirabel does not get a door. The moment where she goes to put her hand on the handle and it disappears. Because this is kind of where everyone thinks either she's cursed or that she's bad luck, she has no gifts. It's like everything is changed. And this is like the defining moment for Mirabel. Even though it doesn't really define her just yet, this is what changes her and makes her different from the rest of the family. Because as we see throughout this film, Mirabel is the one where, yes, she didn't get a gift at her ceremony, but later on, at the end of the film, when she goes to open the door to Casita, she brings back the magic, and that is like her moment to open the door that she never got before. And so with the door disappearing, I don't think it's in the sense that she wasn't able to get any gifts. I think it's in divine timing. That wasn't her moment to receive her gifts, to receive the door and go through with that ceremony. So it's like the Wheel of Fortune was the divine timing that she was not meant to have that happen. Because if she opened the door and she got a gift, then this whole journey with her being the Fool wouldn't have happened in the same way. And Bruno might not be back. She might not have been able to save Casita. So because she was able to save Casita and the magic in the family, that only happened because she didn't get a door. It made her want to prove herself, and it set her course up for the way that it happened. And so the Wheel of Fortune is those moments in time that maybe you can't define them as they happen, but upon reflection, when you look back, you're like, yes, if this didn't happen that way, then I wouldn't be where I am today. And so the Wheel of Fortune really is this overarching idea of fate and destiny. So now we have the Justice card. And so to me, I think the Justice card is one of the most interesting cards in the major arcana because there's so many different ways to view it. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in thinking that justice means like righting some wrongs or getting justice for a certain situation, but justice does not always mean an action in which we think that it is right. Justice means karma and balance. And so justice can mean a reaction to an action, but not necessarily in a way that we would deem as beneficial. It doesn't always mean a victory. It doesn't always mean that someone won or, accomplished something. Sometimes it means more of justice as in things are balancing. You did something and this is your consequence. And so I think in Encanto, where we can see justice play out is where the gifts and the magic start to dwindle. And the reason for it is because this whole time, Casita has been crumbling, there's been cracks, we have seen signs that the magic is going away, and we have seen where it's stemming from, that it's because of the relationship between the family, the dynamic, and the way in which Abuela is not changing her ways of thinking, in which she is staying rigid and stuck in the past, and therefore, without progress, something's got to give eventually, something's got to break, and we see that's what's happening with the magic because they, as a family and as a community, have not adapted. The natural consequence is that things are not always going to be the same. If you don't adapt, you're going to lose what you have. And so I feel like that scene where everything's falling apart around them is showing them it's like, look, it's either time to change and adapt and go with the flow of things, or stay stagnant but lose what you have. Like, there's no way to go back in the past and make it where this is going to continue the same way forever, because that's not how anything works. And so I think when we see this scene, yes, it seems a little unfair and it seems a little bit frustrating because, why can't things stay the same? And that's kind of a question a lot of people have. And I think with justice, people view that in the black and white as this is a victory or this is something that we want. And justice is not always what we want, but it's what you need. And so I think this scene really embodies the energy of justice well, because it's showing the consequences of actions and what that's going to get you. And once you understand the cause and effect of things, then you can use that to get the type of justice you want, where you're going to do things for a certain outcome. But when you're unaware of that, and you look at the justice cards, sometimes they come up in tarot readings, I think people sometimes get confused and they think, well, I got the justice card, why didn't something good happen? Justice and good don't always go hand in hand. Better and growth does not always mean that it doesn't hurt. And so I think that this is a really interesting way to understand the justice card on a deeper level, in a way that maybe not everyone has looked to understand it before. So now we have the Hanged Man, and I think the moment in Encanto that represents the Hanged Man is the moment in which Mirabel goes to Isabel to try and work things out where she can get the hug so that the prophecy can be completed, because that's what she thinks needs to be done so far. And through this, Mirabel learns that who she thinks Isabel is and what Isabel wants isn't actually true, and she finds out that Isabella really never wanted to marry Mariano. And so I think this moment embodies the energy of the Hanged Man, because the Hanged Man is when the fool realizes that what they have done is walked into a situation in which they thought they had control, and really they get stuck, things don't go to plan, and it gives them time to reflect on things and be like, okay, I need to figure a new way out of this. And so it gives them time to think and adjust, because they're literally stuck upside down. It's like they walked into a trap and they were a little naive with it. They didn't really think it through. And so when Mirabel goes to see Isabella, she thinks that all she needs to do is force her to give her a hug, and that will be what is needed, that they saw in the prophecy that Mirabel and Bruno saw. And so, then she gets to talking with Isabella. She finds out that it is going to be a lot harder to get her to hug her than just forcing her to do it, because Isabella is very upset and she's very angry. And then through this anger, through this fighting, it's revealed that Isabella never really wanted to marry Mariano. And so in this moment, the change in perspective is that Mirabel's not thinking about, just hugging her for the sake of the prophecy anymore. Now they are actually like having this vulnerable sister bonding moment that they haven't really ever had. And so Mirabel's now focus is not on the prophecy, but helping Isabella discover who she is and what she wants and having fun. And so then they end up exploring some of Isabella's gifts that she never really tapped into before, and they have a lot of fun. They really just get to have this really genuine, happy bonding experience. And so Mirabel gets the hug that was part of the prophecy, which is what she intended to do. But the journey to get there was different. It created this energy in which her perspective was changed, and now her and Isabella have a different relationship than they had before, because now there's more understanding and there's more of a connection. Whereas before there was a disconnect because Isabella was the star and she was the golden child and Mirabel was not. And so there was some resentment. And through this, Mirabel also learns there's some resentment of Isabella to Mirabel because Isabella wants to do what she wants and she can't. And so she feels like she has to be perfect. And so it's seeing the different perspectives of each of the sisters and how it has caused this rift between them that now they are starting to work out. So now we have the death card, and I know this is one of the scary cards, but the thing about death, sometimes it is literal, but it also represents this energy of a death or an ending to a situation. And so it's creating change. And so it's not as scary, it's not as literal, because it is representing an ending of a situation, not of a person, not of something that you love. And so in Encanto, I think the death moment, the moment that really changes everything forever, is the moment at the end, right before Casita crumbles. Mirabel confronts Abuela, and they end up getting into this argument in which Mirabel really lets everything off her chest, where she's not holding back, she's not being afraid anymore. And it's partly because she understands the prophecy, but it's also because she is fully embracing who she is and not being ashamed for who she is. She's starting to understand Bruno more and how they both are the outliers of the family and how that's not okay. And just because Abuela has been hurt before, it doesn't mean that she can go on and outcast her family and make them feel invaluable when they are trying their best. And so with Mirabel, saying everything and standing up for herself, this creates the death that we can see visually because Casita starts to crumble, the magic starts to dwindle. This is the death of the magic. This is the change of the magic, where everything as they have known it so far is getting burnt out. It's disappearing. It is no longer going to be what it used to be. And so it's literally the death of the movie that we can see, because things can never go back to what they were. Things will never be the same. Things can change, but you can't go back to what everything was. And so when the death card does appear in readings, understand it's not saying that things won't improve. It's not saying things can't get better, but things will never be what they once were. So now we have the devil card. And like I said earlier, Abuela is not the devil. She is not the one who's inherently bad, but the generational trauma and the generational karma that has followed the family is the devil. And so basically the devil card represents kind of the things that are keeping people trapped, the things that are being burdens placed upon people. So sometimes in tarot readings, the devil is going to represent a person. It's going to represent a person who doesn't fully care about you, who is just wanting things to be their way, who is wanting control, wanting to manipulate the situation. But sometimes the devil represents more the subconscious beliefs and the ideas that keep us feeling like we're trapped, feeling like we can't escape things, feeling like we can't break free. And a lot of times these are our own self-limiting beliefs and these own chains that we put on ourselves. That's why if you see in the devil card in tarot, yes, they have these chains around them, but the chains are so loose they could take them off if they wanted to. They just have to realize they have the ability to take the chains off. So that's where I feel like it's this generational karma, because this whole time, anyone in the family before Mirabel could have stood up to this generational karma and kind of been like, hey, we need to heal. Instead of letting this control us, let's work on healing it. But it wasn't until Mirabel that someone actually was able to confront things and call things out and be like, this isn't normal. Yes, it's the way things have been, but we need to work on that. We need to heal it. And so the devil card has really been the way in which everyone, the family and the community, have relied upon the gifts to prove the inherent value of the family and what they can do to protect everyone else. And so it's almost like there's this generational karma, not on, building this family connection between each other, but what they can offer to your life, to aid your life, to better your life, and kind of using people. And so there is this energy of take, and dependency, and not a balanced dynamic for someone's inherent value in this family. And that is why once the gifts start disappearing, it is very abrupt and it is really difficult for the family to adjust, because for so long their worth and their value has been placed on these gifts. As we see with Louisa in the film, the moment her gifts start to dwindle, she has this identity crisis of not knowing who she is. And so I feel like in a way, the generational karma tied with the gifts and the value of how the family perceives their gifts to mean to their inherent value is what the actual devil of the film is. So now we have the Tower card. Another scary card, but this was the whole reason I came up with this video idea, because I was watching Encanto, and when I saw the prophecy, when she finds it, it dawned on me that the prophecy is not changing because it has not yet been determined. The prophecy is literally representing what the Tower card embodies. So for those of you who don't really understand the Tower card, because I know it has a lot of negative connotations, the Tower card is not an event that is good or bad. It is simply an event that exists. And what happens is, it is kind of when the tower has been built up and now there's a fire, lightning hit it and it created a weak spot, and now everything that was weak in that tower is coming crashing down around. You still have the foundation when everything is said and done. You have that foundation, you can build upon it again. But everything that was not sturdy or stable, that has been burnt away by this fire, by this tower coming crumbling down around it, that is all meant to disappear. Because basically the tower moment is when, you know, you have things in your life that aren't laid with the best foundation, they aren't what's necessarily meant for you, and the universe comes and knocks everything down and says, if you're going to do it, you're either going to do it correctly, you're going to build it properly, or this is going to disappear and you're not meant to get it because this is not providing anything to your life. Yes, you might think it's what you want, but what you want and what you need are not the same. And so when we have tower moments in our lives, it's showing us the things that are broken and forcing us to address it. And if we don't want to address it, we can sit, we can be upset by the situation, but it's going to keep knocking us down until we learn, hey, need to change my approach with it. Either I need to understand the lesson, or I need to understand this is not what I need to do, or I need to understand that the way to get what I want is not through this route and I need to change things around. But it's basically a moment in time in which our ego is bruised, because again, it's what we want isn't working out, and so our ego is bruised, but we are forced to face the hard truth of something we did not want to admit. We're forced to accept it and then make a new plan from what is now the truth, what we have to acknowledge and face. Because with the tower, just like anything else in your life, you could maybe notice a couple of the cracks. You could maybe see, hey, maybe this isn't the most secure, but you push it off. You're like, no, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's worked up into this point, so I'm just going to keep doing. So it's like, you know that there's things that are not stable, that are not secure, but you ignore it because it's not that big of a deal. But then eventually all those little things, they add up and it comes crumbling down. And so basically the prophecy, where we see that Casita has the cracks and then Casita doesn't have the cracks, it's showing us what the tower moment is going to be. And so as we see, when the prophecy actually comes to life, we see that Casita crumbles. We see that Casita, very much like the tower itself, is falling down. It's going to just be the foundation that's left. Everything else is in ruins. Everything else is in shambles. And just like we saw in the prophecy, all those cracks appear and then they become fixed again. And it's not because the prophecy didn't know what was going to happen. It's because the prophecy was predicting it needed to break in order for Mirabel to be the one to help them fix it again, in order for her to gather everyone to work together as a team and show them they don't need their gifts, to show them that their value isn't based on their gifts or the status that they had, but it's based on who they are at their core, based on the choices that they make. And so she teaches them how to work together to rebuild Casita. And so very much like the tower moment in tarot, it's breaking things down where you are facing things that you needed to face for a long time. You're having these moments where things are forever changing. You're having some death moments, but that is allowing you to get to the foundation and rebuild stronger, better, and healthier. And so I really feel like that's what the prophecy was indicating. It wasn't that Bruno didn't know what was going to happen, it's that he wasn't understanding it was a full circle prophecy. It was showing what was going to happen and what's going to happen at the end, with Mirabel being able to fix it and bring them all together. And so I feel like this is a really good way to understand the Tower card, because a lot of people get really scared by it, and I understand it. I've had my own tower moments, and I know many people who have had tower moments, and it's not fun because you are in denial. But once you get past it, once you accept the reality of things, then you have somewhere to move forward from. as you can see in Encanto, it's like if everyone kept denying it, nothing would get fixed, nothing would be resolved. Everyone still has their suppressed emotions. They're still feeling a type of way. Bruno would still be shunned. So at least now, yes, it's messy. Yes, you're getting things off your chest in a way that isn't ideal. But then they're able to start over and rebuild and have everyone be present. Bruno is able to come back. He wouldn't have been able to do that if this tower moment never happened. And so it provides this way to kind of clean the slate and start over again. And so I really encourage that the tower card comes up in your readings to figure out what it's going to be, what's going to happen, and try and embrace it and aid it, because if you try and resist the tower, it's not going to help you. It's only going to hinder you and make it more difficult. If you embrace it, yes, it's not always ideal, but it will be over a lot faster and not be as intense. So now we have the Sun card, and to me, the Sun is best represented by the candle and the magic. So the Sun represents this energy of hope and joy, happiness, and really enjoying your life. And the candle and the magic came to Abuela at her time of need when her husband had just died. And it was kind of like this sacrifice that led into this period of hope where she was going to be able to take care of her kids, where she was going to be able to protect others, and really build this community. And so even though she dealt with a loss, the Sun card represents kind of the sun that comes out after the darkness, the hope, the clarity, the path forward after, you know, some sort of darkness has happened. And so I feel like we can really start to understand the Sun card better, where the Sun card isn't saying that everything's going to be fixed, but it is simply a point of hope. It is simply allowing you to gain clarity and figure out what to do with the situation and really understand your path forward. Even if it's not the best path, it will show you the path that is available to you and give you the tools to work with it. And I feel like that's what the magic did. It provided this tool of clarity and being able to make the best out of the bad situation. And just like the Sun represents positivity and the ability to find the positivity out of any situation. Even if there's not a lot, there's always something. So now we have the Judgment card. So judgment, sometimes it's taken a little literally. It's not always judgment as in someone is judging another person. A lot of times judgment is like the reckoning or the awakening. That's other terms for it. And it means this moment of realization, of acceptance, and realizing what you have done wrong and holding yourself accountable, or holding someone else accountable. It represents this energy of having your judgment, almost like you get a judgment in court and tell you what you need to do. That's kind of similar to the energy of this Judgment card in tarot. And so to me, the judgment moment in the Encanto movie is when Abuela realizes the way that she has been mistreating the people in the family, specifically Maribel and Bruno, because of her own generational karma and her own need to hold on to the traditions and the ways that she used to do things. And it's through this conversation with Maribel, after Maribel has run away and they meet at the river, where she's finally able to realize why she's been acting the way she is and where it's all stemming from, and learning that she has to let it go in order to move on and actually have a healthy dynamic with the rest of the family. And so I feel like this is her judgment, because when she's realizing how she is wrong, she's realizing the consequence of her actions and how it has led to her ostracizing members of her family, even though that's not what she's intending to do. She's realizing that her own need to hold on to the past has caused her to not be present in the moment. And so she's understanding that, and she's wanting to change it. She might not understand how to change it just yet, but she's willing to make an effort towards it. And that's where we see Bruno ends up reuniting with them, and she starts to show that she is making an effort by just accepting him and realize how she was wrong before, not judge him and not say anything that she doesn't mean. She's not letting her emotions rule her. Instead, she's understanding and being a lot more compassionate than we've seen for her in a long time. And so I feel like that really embodies this judgment, and this reckoning energy of, you know, being faced with the truths and having to do things that maybe are difficult for you to accept, but allowing yourself to do it and allowing yourself to make a change to deal with the consequences of your own actions. And then finally, we have the World card. And to me, the World card represents this energy of coming full circle, of closing one chapter and kind of starting another one, closing one door leading to another beginning, you know, finishing finishing out a cycle, learning your karmic lessons. And I feel like the way that this is depicted in Encanto is where everything kind of comes full circle. So Mirabel gets the family to rebuild Casita, and then at the end they let her open the door. They give her the doorknob like it would be at the door ceremony. So like I was saying with the Wheel of Fortune in the beginning, she never got the opportunity to get her gifts from the door. She was never able to have that moment because the door disappeared. And so at the end, to come full circle, they give her her door, and when she opens it, she brings the magic back to Casita and to the community. And so it's like, yes, she didn't have the traditional door ceremony. Yes, she didn't have the gifts like everyone else did, but because of that, she was able to bring magic back from everyone realizing that the magic is from them working together and protecting one another. It's not stemming from this need to prove themselves based on the value of their gifts. She taught them that the karmic lesson of this is to realize that their gifts aren't what make them special. Yes, it adds to them, but it's not the only thing of value from them. And so, you know, with her bringing back magic, it's realizing, one, that even though she was underestimated because she didn't have a gift, she still is special, because without her, this wouldn't have been possible. But it also shows everyone that just because something didn't happen in the past doesn't mean that it can't right itself in the future, and it can't come into your life when it's meant to. And so not only is it teaching the family how important Mirabel is to the family and how she is really what allowed them to get to this point, but it's also teaching Mirabel that any value she placed on the gifts themselves, and for beating herself up because she didn't have gifts or feeling like she wasn't special, that was all wrong, because again, it's showing her that there is no value on gifts, and that when you're meant to get something, it's going to happen to you. And so everything kind of comes full circle, because the thing that everyone was upset with her in the beginning of the film actually ends up being what made her unique enough to be able to cause this prophecy to happen, and caused everyone to have to go through this tower moment, go through this death moment, in order to rebuild as a stronger, healthier family. And at the end of the movie, you can see that there is a lot more communication and a lot more honesty between the family, where they're actually a lot more happier with their lives, where they're not hiding things, they're not suppressing things anymore. And so it's like the generational karma, you know, that was their devil, and their karmic lesson was to wake up to that and put an end to it, to stop it. And they did that when they all chose to work together, even despite not having their gifts, to build their home even without having any magic, because they were going to make it a home. And so everything really comes full circle. And so if the world comes up in your reading, it can be indicating, you know, that things are finally coming to a close, that you are understanding something, that you're learning something, or there's going to be a new beginning. But in order for that new beginning to happen, you have to let go of the past, and you have to let go of that chapter of your life in order to start this other one. And so that's kind of my interpretation of the major arcana in the Encanto movie. I hope that you found this video helpful and you found it useful. If there's any other movies you would want to see me do, let me know. I really love this series, and I think it's really unique, and I feel like it also helps me understand the cards better, because I'm seeing them in a different perspective to make them fit the film that we're talking about. So if there's any other characters or TV show or movie that you want me to relate tarot cards to, definitely let me know. I'm open to all ideas. And again, I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up and share with others. And like I said earlier, I'm going to have more videos linked in the cards for you to watch next. If you're new, please hit subscribe. I would love to have you a part of this family, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. I hope you have a good one. Bye.